Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to put on our trench coats, grab our magnifying glasses, and become botanical detectives. We're investigating one of the most recognizable, widespread, and honestly just downright frustrating plant diseases out there, powdery mildew. If you've ever tended to a garden, a greenhouse, or even just a small collection of indoor houseplants, odds are you've crossed paths with this relentless culprit. So let's get our investigation underway and uncover exactly how this pathogen operates, and more importantly, how we can stop it.
Okay, let's head straight to the scene of the crime. We're going to ask the most obvious question that pops into our heads when we walk outside and see our gorgeous, previously healthy plants suddenly looking sick. What on earth is that white dust everywhere? You know what I mean? It almost looks like someone just carelessly tossed baking flour all over your garden. It's unsightly, it spreads like wildfire, and it immediately sets off alarm bells for any plant parent.
And right here is the visual evidence. Whether it's a massive, broad pumpkin leaf or a super delicate rosebud, this pathogen really isn't picky. It goes after almost all vegetable and garden plants. When we see this fuzzy white coating clinging to leaves, buds, or even fruit, we are looking at the primary physical evidence of a severe powdery mildew infection.
Section 1. The White Dust Mystery.
Let's crack open the case file on this one. We really need to understand the fundamental nature of this disease. Now, the crucial thing to keep in mind is that this culprit doesn't usually strike a fatal blow instantly. It rarely just kills a plant right off the bat. Actually, it plays the long game. It coats the surface of the plant, blocks out the sunlight, and just slowly sucks the vitality right out of its victim. If you're growing veggies, it's going to seriously decrease your harvest yields. And if you're growing ornamentals, it completely distorts and destroys the flowers, often making the buds just drop right off before they even get a chance to open. It is literally a thief stealing your plant's energy.
Section 2. Signs versus symptoms.
To really catch our culprit, we've got to make a critical distinction here between signs and symptoms. A sign is the actual physical evidence of the organism causing the problem. It's the criminal caught on camera, right? This includes things like those white fungal mats, microscopic spores, or even insect webbing. A symptom, on the other hand, well, that's the plant crying out for help. It's the physical response of the plant to being attacked. So things like the leaves turning yellow, curling up, wilting, or just dropping off entirely.
Apply that concept right here. That white powder, that is not a symptom of the plant reacting to stress. That is a direct sign of the pathogen itself. If you were to look closely at this, maybe pull out a hand lens, you'd actually see the thin layers of mycelium and these characteristic chains of spores resting right on the surface of the leaf. Seeing this physical structure absolutely confirms our diagnosis. We aren't just looking at a stressed plant, we are looking directly at the fungus.
Section 3. Meet the powdery pathogen.
Let's zoom in a bit closer on our usual suspects. These are fungi from genera like Ericiae, and meet their microscopic weapon, the haustoria. Think of this root-like structure as a tiny vampire. The powdery mildew fungus doesn't just sit politely on the surface of your leaf. No way. It actively penetrates the outer layer, the epidermal cells, and uses these haustoria to anchor itself down and literally suck the water, nutrients, and liquids right out of the plant's cells to feed itself. So, while the main body of the fungus is living on the outside, its feeding tubes are buried deep inside your plant.
But you know what's truly shocking about this pathogen? It's the sheer speed. Given the right conditions, these microscopic windblown spores can land on your plant, germinate, and penetrate the leaf tissue with those haustoria in less than 2 hours. 2 hours! It's an incredibly fast-moving invasion.
Section 4. Motive and opportunity, also known as the disease triangle. So if it's that fast and that widespread, you might be wondering, why aren't all our plants covered in white fuzz all year round? Well, it can't just attack any time it feels like it. It needs 3 very specific conditions at the exact same time. We call this the disease triangle, and you can think of it like a 3-legged stool. Leg 1, you need a susceptible host, a vulnerable plant. Leg 2, you need the pathogen itself, meaning the spores have to be present. And leg 3, you need a favorable environment. If all 3 of these align perfectly, the disease takes hold and spreads.
Okay, so what exactly is a favorable environment for our white dust suspect? Powdery mildew actually has very specific tastes. It thrives in insanely high humidity. We're talking 97 to 99% relative humidity. It loves moderate temperatures, ideally right between 57 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. But most notably, it heavily favors warm daytime temperatures that are immediately followed by cool evenings.
If you have a susceptible plant, the spores blow in, and you get these exact weather conditions, that is the perfect opportunity for the mildew to rapidly reproduce, pumping out a whole new crop of spores every 5 to 10 days.
Section 5. Breaking the triangle.
All right, now that we know how it operates, its motive, and its preferred opportunity, let's go on the offensive. We're going to learn how to break the disease triangle and stop this crime spree. The absolute best news for us? You don't have to eliminate all three factors. If even a single side of this triangle is missing or weakened, the disease simply cannot fully develop. It all collapses. Since we obviously can't control when spores blow in on the breeze, our best bet is to manipulate the environment and the host so the fungus never gets the chance it needs.
Here are the specific, actionable tactics we can use to break that environmental leg of the triangle. First up, space your plants out. Good air circulation dramatically lowers that 99% humidity the fungus is craving. Second, avoid heavy applications of high nitrogen fertilizers. Nitrogen causes this rapid, succulent new leaf growth, which is exactly the soft tissue the fungus loves to sink its teeth into. Third, and this sounds crazy, but washing leaves with a mild detergent can actually physically combat the disease by altering the leaf surface. And finally, if the environment is just totally out of your control, consider using a registered fungicide. By managing airflow, your fertilizer routine, and plant hygiene, we actively dismantle the exact environment this fungus desperately needs to survive.
As we close this case file on powdery mildew, I want you to take these detective skills out into the real world. Take a close look at your own plants, whether they're out in a sunny backyard or just sitting on your living room windowsill. Check the airflow, monitor your watering and fertilizing habits, and ask yourself how you can empower your garden against this powdery thief. Because the real question is, which side of the disease triangle are you going to break today? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and we'll see you next time.